Okay, welcome everyone to ADB Japan. So what we're looking at here are the OEM stock crash bars or engine guards, whatever you prefer. Unfortunately, the Japanese model, as you can see right here, does not come with these stock from the factory. We have to buy these in Japan. It's unfair, but that is what it is. So today I'm going to go ahead and do an install on these. Haven't really found any videos online how to do these, just because in America, like, everyone has them. So if you're in Japan and you want to put these bad boys on, well, I guess I'm going to show you how to do it. So there are two, obviously one for the left and right side, and they're nice and cleanly marked here. You can see one has an R and the other one has an L on it. Sorry. So for today's install, the tools you're going to need, probably a breaker bar. You're going to need your ratchet, some needle nose pliers, an extension, and let's see here, you're going to need a 14mm socket, a 12mm socket, and then you're going to need a, looks like an 8mm Allen wrench socket, a 6mm Allen wrench socket, and then finally a 5. This should get the whole job done today. What comes with this kit is what you see right here. So you'll figure out what this is. This goes straight through the bike frame. It replaces the current bolt that's in there. These will go on the ends here to allow to mount this. These will go in the other mounting position and will allow for mounting at the top. And then these will clamp around with this to the existing frame. And they will be secured using these small Allen bolts. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so you're going to start on the right side of the bike, and that's because you've got this long bolt that you have to pull out. And you'll have to have your hands on both sides of this bolt. So there's this bolt right here, this Allen wrench, and then on the other side you've got a nut that you have to secure so it doesn't move, because this thing runs through the entire bike. It's basically, this is what you're looking at. We gotta pull that out. So what you have to do is go ahead and get your Allen wrench key here, or your Allen wrench socket, and get that put on there. And what I did is I just kind of got this in position right here, because I know that when I'm going to twist from the other side, that this is going to want to move. And I've got this up against my foot brake here, and so when I take my socket wrench over there and I twist, this won't move, hopefully, and I'll be able to loosen up this bolt. Of course, if you have two people, then you can have them come over here and do this. You might be able to get your hand through there if you got a small hand. So get that on there. Okay, so pretty easy. I might be able to get my hand around there. Yeah, kind of, sort of. All right, and then basically just twist it until it comes undone. That should do it. All right, and that's it. Come back around on the other side. And pop that out. So basically this is going to get replaced with this guy. So we go ahead and put that in there. And then on the other side, to secure this, you're going to put on one of these fat ones. So there are two different sizes here, as you guys saw in the beginning of the video. You've got these thin ones, you got these thicker ones, and the thin ones are going to go up top here on these two bolts. These ones are going to go straight right on top of there. But first we got to get this one secured. This one is a bit trickier because, as you can see right here, we don't actually have like a socket on that one. So for that, you're gonna have to use the needle nose pliers to secure it. All right, so here we go. So on this side, you're gonna wanna secure this bolt right here. So get your hand around the back side, make sure it doesn't pop out. Get those washers and the lock nut on there, and then you're gonna secure this with this kind of weird looking nut slash bolt. Make sure you're gonna have, you guys are probably gonna need these longer sockets, and the reason why is because these bolts that you replace, you know, they have the nut end and they have the bolt kind of sticking out, so it's pretty long, and if you don't have these longer sockets, you may not be able to get your short sockets around this thing. So this works the best. All right, so get that on there, and then, all right, so come around here, get these pliers around there, and then if you can, just tighten it like this. And once those lock nuts, those lock washers get locked in, then you won't have to hold this anymore. Yeah, should be good now. Yep, get it good. Nice and tight. Okay, so just like you have that kind of bolt washer on that side, you got to do the same thing to this side. So it's pretty simple. Just put that sucker on there. It's really nice. They include some of that lock. I can't remember. You know, the longer you live in this country and the more you speak the language, my goodness, the more you just forget. You forget stupid words that you just never use. You know what I'm talking about. It's got that lock stuff on there. Now, one way to make sure that you've got this other inside bolt tight enough is that when you yank on this to get it tight, make sure that the whole assembly is not spinning. All right, it shouldn't spin, and mine doesn't, so I'm pretty locked in solid there. All right, so we've got our first mount on. The second mount is going to be right here, and then we're going to be attaching that little clamp to right here. So 3 points of contact, and it's going to look pretty good. Okay, so the next one is we need to remove the existing bolt from here. For that, you're going to need the small 12 millimeter. Oh, sorry, the 12 millimeter. That would be sorry, the 6 millimeter. All right, and that comes off real simple. It's not hard. Okay, that comes out just like that. And you're gonna want to keep everything. Like, I keep all this stuff because, you know, you just never know. Like, some people, especially here in Japan, when you go to sell used stuff, they just want all the original parts, you know. So in Japan, like I said, these bikes do not come stock with these crash bars, so just be sure to keep all your original parts. Okay, so the next part here. Next, we go ahead and throw these bad boys in. And again, these come with the lock tight, I think is what it's called. Golly, oh my goodness. Now these we're going to secure with the 12 millimeter. Those nice and tight. Okay, so now we've basically, you know, we've got our mounting, you know, positions in place. 1, 2, and then the last one is going to be right on this bar. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the bar and see how this fits. Okay, here we go. So here's the bar. and it's basically just going to sit just like that. So let's make sure you got this clamp thing. It's going to go right there, and then you've got your 2 bolts. I just kind of sit just like that. Yeah, so that's looking pretty good, I think. That sits very flush. So just like this, it's going to provide some protection for these, for the engine here. It sticks out further. I'm not too sure how this is going to hold up, but I'm not too worried about it. You know, really, I'm mostly worried about the engine. This can get all banged up, doesn't bother me. It can be easily replaced anyways. All right, so now that we've got this sucker on here, we can go ahead and start putting on the bolts necessary to hold this thing in place, and the bolts and nuts, whatever, you guys get it. Okay, so what's going to go on the top of this guy here is this bolt. It's going to screw right into the existing one up top. I'm sure there's probably a torque for this thing, but you know, I don't know what it is. Just really freaking tight. That's what it is. In any case, they all have Loctite on them, so they're pretty solid. I don't think they're going anywhere. Oh, you know what? I think I forgot to recommend one more size. Yeah, it looks like we're going to need probably a 10mm on this. Alright, here we go. Alright, so once this is kind of somewhat attached up here, just kind of let it loose a little bit, because we got to put in some extra parts here before we move on. So this is your little kind of rubber grommet that needs to go in between this clamp here, so it just secures it tighter, makes everything really solid in there. You need to be careful that this is directional. You can see that it's kind of slanted a little bit. Just make sure this yellow line is down, and that'll fit on there just right, just where it needs to be. And then you've got this little grommet here that you need to put in. This is also directional. Make sure you put this in the right way. And the right way is with this shorter end sticking in right there. And you can see how that's really nice. Fits in there really center. And then this comes around like this and comes on. And it should line up right with this guy. Again, you got that clutch cable that's in the way. You know, it might even make it easier to just get this in on this side first. All right, so these are going to be secured with these little tiny Allen bolts. Just make sure you don't cross thread these. You only get one try, right? All right, you're going to be using the 5mm to secure these. That's a bit of a trick. Oh man, this is not easy. Okay, I lied. This is the hardest part. Okay, get your finger behind there. Do not cross thread these, whatever you do. I'm already accomplishing that. There we go. Is that in? Yep, that's in there. Good.
Get another one. And finger tighten the bottom here. Do not cross thread. Give it a good squeeze back there so you can line it up. Again, this clutch cable here is kind of in the way, but it'll move. It'll move on its own. Just make sure you don't clamp it in there. All right, so that's generally in there. Okay, the last part is to put on these bolts on the outside. Bolts. Keep calling them bolts. Bolts, nuts, whatever. I'm nuts. Again, you live here long enough, you speak the language, you don't speak English, you forget words like that. All right. Sorry, that will be the 12. And the key with this here is you want to make sure that once you start tightening these down, that this back, this nut that you put on the back and that bolt underneath it that you put in there, that assembly shouldn't be moving when you're twisting this. It should be all staying stationary. If it's moving, then you didn't secure it tight enough on the back end here. That's pretty tight. Mine is, it's pretty dang tight. I don't think it needs to be any tighter than that. All right, that one is good. Next one, I'm gonna use the 10. We'll tighten up the top one. Again, just get a nice good tight squeeze on there, not too tight. That's in there. All right, and the last one, we'll go ahead and use these this 5mm Allen wrench socket and getting these nice and secured. And just kind of going even. I like to go even on these things too, just don't want to twist things up or bend things. Oh yeah, that's looking great. All right, just making sure that clutch cable is not getting pinched. We're good. Okay. That is tight as tight can be. Yep. All right. That is on there. We are solid with our bars. Okay, and we just go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Roughly the same thing. All right, so first thing is first, we need to pull off the upper bolt here so we can replace it. Comes out pretty easy. Again, keeping all the original parts. This goes in place. Loctite on it. That's pretty nice again. By the way, I'll probably eventually at some point give you a run around on my bike, kind of the stuff I use, the gear I put on here. For today though, we're just gonna stick with this install. Okay, that's in there pretty good. All right, so now we are ready again for the mount here. Okay, so let's hit the other side up here. But before we do that, just make sure to peel any of this tape off, because if you don't, then the rubber grommet that needs to go in here won't find its hole. Now on the other side, I was able to get this off, but on this side I didn't, and it got all messed up. So again, just make sure you can see that hole there, so we can get that grommet in there. Nice, fits nice and solid. Good. All right, anyways, let's go ahead and get this one started. So let's grab the bolt for the top one. Get that ready to go. Okay. All right, so here we go. So again, just find that hole for the grommet. Should go. There it is. Right in there like that. Again, this is going to face to the right, ensuring that our grommet is in place. Got it. Okay, it's in place. So grab these little tiny guys. Again, ensuring that you're not cross-threading here. Just make sure that everything is nice and straight. That on there. It's the bottom side here. Whew, it's a chilly December morning. All right, and our final bolt here. Bolt, nut. The final nut that goes on here is the one on the bottom, the left side. And again, there's a little cable down here that you're probably going to want to make sure that that does not get in the way. I'm not quite sure what this is. Looks like some electrical stuff going on. It's going straight into the engine case here, so just make sure that that is out of the way. Doesn't look like it'll get pinched. Should be all right. Alright, so using the 12. Just enough to then go ahead and secure everything else really tight. Okay, go with the 10 and get this thing locked down. Yeah, it's in there. Alright. 12 in. Okay. And finally, I get a little 5mm Allen wrench. Closing everything down evenly. So we don't get any bends. Alright, that is it, folks. I'm not sure what this is. Got some two holes in the back here for some bolts to go in. I'm wondering if it's for some type of crossbar. It's doubtful though, because it would hit here. Either that, or it could be like a bumper, you know, those rubber kind of bumpers that they sell. That could be what that is. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. These are on. These are the lower engine guards. Eventually I may get the upper ones that come around here and lock inside there. But for now, I think these are gonna do me good. It'll protect my engine when the bike falls. Should be good with that.
Okay, so I got the video done and I was looking at it, and I kind of felt like there needed to be a part where I show you guys the front of the bike, just to see how wide these crash bars are. They're actually not that bad. However, they do stick out. You know, it looks like just enough to even provide protection for my gas tank. So I may not even have to buy the upper crash bars. These lower ones look like they just might do the job. And they also look like they give quite a bit of clearance for my legs if I were to fall. You can see they're pretty much lined in there with the foot pegs too, so that's plenty of room. You know, if the bike were to fall on my leg, I think it would be all right. I'm not gonna try that out, but yeah, so they look pretty good. So if you're in Japan, you're looking to get these bars, I super recommend it. I was lucky. I found these, somebody was selling them used. They'd never been used before, but he was selling them as used, so I got them almost 50% off the MSRP. So I got a good deal. All right.